will look at many different industries and sectors today, but as you remind us, a lot of innovation processes, if you're going to get people to change, it rests a lot on the quality of the people and the quality of the education. And so the first sector that we will look at is going to be the education sector. And we will do this jointly with our partners at ADEC. So I will first call forward Mohamed Yousif Baniyas, the Executive Director and Higher Education Advisor for ADEC, and then I will talk from an INSEAD point of view. Please join me in welcoming Mohamed. There you go. Green means go.
Your Highness, Sheikh Sultan bin Tahnoon Al Nahyan, Chairman, Department of Transport, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. This is a great pleasure here to be with INSEAD today, looking at the innovation and development that the world is going through. Now, I would like to thank INSEAD for this kind invitation and for being the valuable partner with ADEC, Abu Dhabi Education Council. I also would like to convey the greetings from Her Excellency, Dr. Ismael Al Shehhi, and her best wishes to INSEAD and to the world leaders for this conference. Now, my presentation will be on the role of higher education, taking examples from medical field where I come from, and see how higher education and research universities and institutes of innovation, they can impact the world. And then mention some of the features of the innovative institutions and higher educations, and finally conclude by what INSEAD is doing with Abu Dhabi Education Council. Now, to take into perspective, if you look at the whole universe depends on technology and knowledge. And this knowledge development has changed our life significantly. Our knowledge is expanding every moment. And what we see as a result is amazing. Take the example of how much antibiotic had impact on our life, saving millions of lives, vaccination saving millions of lives. But what happens, sometimes we forget. We take this innovation for granted. We think that these are just the discoveries of today. We forget that sometimes hundreds of years were beyond these discoveries. Going back to vaccination, in 1797, Dr. Peter Jenner from London, he was working on vaccination. No one thought that this is going to be a breakthrough. During that period, 400 million people were killed in Europe by smallpox, and that vaccine, no one used it to a large degree. It was only in 1970 where Benjamin Robin from Wyeth Company, with these innovative ideas, put that picture, put that innovation into real picture and real life, and a smallpox vaccine was developed, and it was eradicated gladly, although some military still use it as a chemical or as biological warfare. Another example in the world of insulin. Insulin was a discovery by a medical student, Charles Best. In fact, two of his professors initially, when they got the Nobel Prize winner, one of them didn't want to share it with medical student, and the second professor shared the Nobel Prize winner with the medical student, and in 1923 they got the Nobel Prize. But it took 70 years for the Lilly company to take that initiative and make good innovation out of it. So you see that there are basic elements, but also there are these cutting-edge companies that come into the picture and try to invest on what is being done at the universities. But nevertheless, at the core of development are research universities and research institutions. If you look at a distinguished faculty from MIT, Professor Hargobind Kaur, he was born in India, a poor family. He goes to MIT, and he does research on very important topic, which is kind of coding in the DNA and how it's related to the functional proteins and how it affects the body. And he got the Nobel Prize for it. He died as a poor man. No, but if you look at today's medical development in cancer biology, we look at today's medical development in drug discovery, we look at today's medical development in even nanotechnology, a lot of it, and the whole idea of personalized medicine is based on that discovery that is almost forgotten. And now the companies are jumping around and trying to find this, some niche, some business niche for that innovation. So we should not forget the role of of the first inventors, the role of the universities, the role of researchers. Now, in order to have this kind of research or this kind of development, what are the features of these higher education institutes? What are the features of the research universities? Our colleague, Dr. Jamil Salmi from World Bank, he had put it very nicely. He said there are 3 elements to it. The first element is the right faculty. The second element is the right students. And the third is the right governance system. Now, I expand a little bit, and I add the word of finance to it, and also the word of infrastructure. So if you look at these 5 elements, these are the elements of the research universities, those that basically gave us patent and gave us the seed idea. As we know, innovation is something that you put the seed today, but you may not see the results until tomorrow. So going back to the research universities, these 5 elements are quite important. You know, if we depend on faculty, normal faculty, innovation will not go anywhere. Genuine faculty and those who are doing research are like football players. You have to recruit them from the best places. If you are not Leonard Messi of research, you will not make any impact in the institution. So focusing on the key faculty is very important. Then students are also crucial because the innovation and development, many brilliant ideas, as we saw the example of insulin, come from the students who are working day and night. And in that regard, having the proper selection, proper gathering data on students and proper admission policies that based on quality are key to the succession of the universities that are innovating and putting seed for the research. Governance is quite important, and we are living in the modern life. Now, as we know, I have kind of dual role. I'm in the government now as higher education, but I used to work as a professor at the medical school and dean. And we always know that universities that have some sort of academic freedom, that the faculty are allowed to do research, to bring new ideas, to have some sort of autonomy, they are those that succeed. If there is no autonomy and the universities are kind of locked in the bureaucratic system of their own or bureaucratic system of the regulators, they will not succeed. So the third element is finance, and financing research is kind of very high and long-term kind of investment. Now, there are different models of financing universities. The most successful model is probably not the government, it's a private model or a kind of private government partner. In US, if we see the most universities, and in Europe that they produce, they are private universities, they are non-profit universities, that the government supports them, and also the public supports those universities, and the business supports them through endowment, through chairs, and the universities themselves, they get into some sort of investment and not to use money, but also to generate money. So financing is also a key issue in building research universities and institutions that produce innovative ideas. And finally is the infrastructure, is the culture, is the environment. How you build this teamwork, people working together, working toward the same goal, and trying to achieve. So these are some of the importance of innovation, the role of the universities, the higher education institutions, and how they look like. Now, what ADIC is doing and how this partnership with INSEAD will work toward that. You know, Abu Dhabi Education Council, as mentioned by our beloved leader, His Highness General Sheikh Mohamed, Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, if we don't depend on education, we do not survive. It's a matter of survival for us. So, but education is not just saying education. It's trying to teach the kids the right skills, the right knowledge, and the ability to survive. And if you look at the educational reform at the Emirate of Abu Dhabi through the Abu Dhabi Education Council, there are a couple of core strategic elements. The first core strategic element is focusing on science, education, and technology. Not because the social sciences are not important. No, social sciences are important. But nowadays, science and technology is becoming an integral part, even in social sciences. You cannot learn music nowadays without physics. You cannot learn media production without knowing physics as well. So this is one of the key strategic focus. And the second focus of Abu Dhabi Education Council is working with the community, with the partner, with the stakeholders to build that. Education is a responsibility of everyone, not the Abu Dhabi Education Council, including of all students and learners, gifted, special need, everyone should be involved in education. So these are some of the key strategic pillars within education of Abu Dhabi Council. And as you appreciate, Abu Dhabi Education Council there are two arms to it. There is the general education, but also the higher education. And higher education works on different universities. It works collaboratively with government universities, with private universities, with semi-government universities, and also with federal universities. But most importantly, the higher education and Abu Dhabi Education Council, they established these partners with top-notch universities such as INSEAD. So there is a change in the culture and there is a change in the leadership thinking of how to bring innovation to the country. Now, one question remains, and we have to be honest and truthful with ourselves. We always talk about top-notch universities and top-notch projects. Who decides on that? And if you look at the universities, the decision usually is either through accreditation or through ranking. And it's only through peer review and international accreditation, international ranking, that we can recognize this is a truly innovative institution or not a truly innovative institution. And in that occasion, I would like to congratulate INSEAD family for first having the international ranking all the way through and having multiple campuses in different countries, but also for making this achievement of being ranked for their programs, highly ranked. So congratulations to INSEAD. And also I would like to thank INSEAD to being a wonderful partner with Abu Dhabi Education Council. Please accept the best regards of Her Excellency Dr. Amal. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Lovely. There you go. Little something. Thank you. Thank you, Mohamed. I could. All right. I want to get my slides, please. Anyway, I want to, in my talk, I want to connect a few different things. One is what Ilian said, which is around. Okay, good. One is what I said, which is, okay, I'm responsible for leading INSEAD's innovation. And then what Mohamed reminded us is, as business schools, there's all of this innovation happening out there, all of this basic research. One of the things that we're fundamentally about is how, especially business leaders, we can harness all of that possibility and actually meet real needs, impact society. And one of the challenges I have as leading innovation at INSEAD is what Ilian said, which is we've had a tremendous run as a school, right? The strength of the school comes from early innovations, the first pan-European business school, first year, 1-year MBA. We didn't talk about this, we pioneered executive education before it was a big deal, first business simulations, more recently, this whole idea of a multi-campus school long before even NYU was thinking of it. But the question is, what next? And that's one of the things that keeps me awake at night. And it's particularly important in this day and age because we're seeing a lot of innovation out there. And if we say as a community, as in a school, that we are fundamentally innovative, we have to say, how are we responding to life today? Because I think there's been a huge amount of research and development in the IT and digital space, in addition to medicine, and it's having, it seems, just wave after wave of impact on business, including management education. But things you all remember, I think one of the big things today is these cell phones, smartphones, linked to the cloud is just unlocking a whole set of new business models. I had put up Uber, I could have put up Airbnb, many, many others. But other digital technologies, 3D printing, and the various products it's making available, self-flying drones moving into the private sector. I think the big thing, though, is how people are starting to embed intelligence into products. Think about the transformations that could come with self-driving cars. And again, we know it's out there. If you look at like IBM Watson, beating humans at some of the toughest trivia challenges, the intelligence is there. It's going to take us decades as business leaders to translate it into products. but this is not going to go away as a big trend. It's one of the huge reasons why I think people care so much about innovation is the pressure and the opportunity to innovate in this kind of environment is huge. What about management education? Right, so we love as academics to study other people. What about our own industry? One of the things that happened a few years ago was that the big hype about how education would be disrupted. I don't know how many people are familiar with this term MOOCs, massive open online courses, yes? How many people have signed up for a MOOC? I mean, how many of you have completed? Yes, that's good. So that's well done. Okay, so this is though the classic kind of hype you sometimes see around digital disruption. So this guy, Sebastian Thrun, he's actually one of the top AI professors in the world, runs labs at Google. Actually, a lot of his early research is behind self-driving cars. Visiting professor at Stanford. You can imagine, totally oversubscribed course. Everyone wants to be in the room learning artificial intelligence from this guy. Back in 2011, he thought, this is ridiculous. Why am I constrained by a physical room? So in true Silicon Valley fashion, this is a picture, he is here, he's the guy on the right, goes into his garage and starts filming his lectures. So in parallel to teaching live, he's teaching on the internet, puts some nice eye candy together, so advertises this. He's got a big following. Suddenly, 100,000 people are taking his course, right? More people than he would teach in his entire career face-to-face. And so this creates, going into 2012 and 2013, a huge amount of hype. So for those who weren't following, this captures it. Was at Davos in January 2013. This is an columnist from the New York Times. But you'd also have had Bill Gates talking about this, many other industry leaders. And this is, again, for those who've seen digital hit your industry, this is the kind of hype you'll see. Nothing has more potential to unlock 1 billion more brains to solve the world's biggest problems. Nothing has more potential to enable us to reimagine higher education than these MOOCs. It'll change teaching, learning, the pathway to employment. There is a new world unfolding, said Reef, and everyone will have to adapt. So again, if you're not in the industry and you read that, you can go, oh, that's kind of neat. But imagine, right, if you're sitting in the industry like Ilian and I are, it's like, well, what do we do with that? And so you start to think, should we be leaping in? Should we change everything? So I did what most business school professors did. I wrote a case about the industry. So one of the things that struck me when you look at it is people have talked about disruption in education for a long time. So here's a classic quote. This is not about MOOCs. Before that, experts in given fields will broadcast lessons for pupils within the many schoolrooms of the public school system, asking questions, suggesting readings, making assignments, conducting tests. This leaves the local teacher, your beloved local teacher, the task of preparing the broadcast and keeping order in the classroom. So radical disruption driven by technology. What technology is this about? It's about the TV, VCR. This one actually goes back to 1928 and radio. So what you look at it, people have been predicting disruption in education for a long time. And one of the things we know in teaching about disruption is when you look back, you will see a bunch of disruption. You'll see what happened to music, what's happened to media. However, you also know that when you look forward, there'll be many more predictions of disruption that will actually happen in the next 2 to 3 years. So part of the challenge of leading innovation in this world is figuring out what are the next places where innovation will hit. So one of the things, we ended up in 2013 not going for MOOCs. One of the reasons was you look at the attrition rates. Lots of people got excited, lots of people signed up, but then it's a little bit like gym membership data after New Year's. Lots of people think, I should really learn about that. And then you look and people go for the first week. By 2 months into, by February, the gyms are empty again. And so even Sebastian, by 2013, was basically saying, okay, this works for a few people, but just MOOCs on their own are not the big disruption. At the same time, it had gotten our attention. Because when we looked at the technology, we thought, well, it's actually, some of these courses are pretty good. If you could solve the motivation issue, we do think you could educate people. And one thing we know about new technologies is even if they've got potential, early on it's often kind of mixed. And so one of the things a new technology needs to do is find an initial niche, initial customers where it can thrive, get established. And okay, examples would be, we all think, wow, the Mac, graphical user interface mouse, that's obvious. When that product came out, the technology wasn't quite ready. It struggled. Apple struggled. One of the reasons it got established was they found this early niche of desktop publishing. Another one, that's an old example. A new example, same theory. Think about electric cars. Electric cars been around for 100 years. People have been trying to establish electric cars with not much success for a couple decades. To the extent that they're getting traction why? Because of Tesla. What is it that Tesla realized? Okay, this technology has big limits, but it's got some really nice attributes in terms of acceleration, and there's actually a niche in very high-end sports cars. And that's a lot of how they got electric cars, at least an initial toehold. So that's, all right. So let's go back. What did we do at INSEAD? We said, okay, this technology has potential. Where do we think we can unlock it first, especially for us as INSEAD? It's not going to be in our degree program. I mean, our degree programs, first of all, elite degree programs are all about building relationships, personal interactions, especially for INSEAD, where we work so hard to get a diverse global group together. But we have this other big activity from, again, you always rely on earlier innovators. Our huge position in executive education, and that's a very diverse, dynamic market. And so it's there that we said, let's start building our capability, let's start experimenting there. And we were fortunate to, this is already getting us into 2014. Spring, I went out to Redmond, met with some of the new leadership team under the new CEO. And it fit our strategy. Basically, they needed, and this is, again, going to be really important for how this new technology fits in with this digital change. Microsoft, over the last, is facing huge transformation challenges. I don't know if you read about them, but one of the big things is cloud computing. And you think, oh, cloud, it sounds, it's all complicated, all these servers. But from a business point of view, it's having a very clear, very tough impact on Microsoft, which is suddenly, as a business leader, you can buy IT solutions without going through IT. Right? So if you're the head of marketing, you can go directly to Salesforce and buy some cloud solution, CRM, and you can cut out your IT department if you want to. And that's a huge issue for Microsoft because an organization, they had about 10,000 people as client execs, supposed to be selling to companies, but basically only able to talk to their IT departments. And so the new CEO is beating on his HR department saying, I need 10,000 people retrained in the next 18 months. And so again, this is the kind of opportunity that we were looking for. So we partnered with them to build a customized, massive open or massive online course. I will just, let's see, no. So just to talk over this, so we were in a hurry, so we wanted to go for quality. We brought in a live audience from Microsoft, and we brought in TV crews from the BBC, France 1 to film live in front of the audience, directors, learning designers. We had only 9 months to put together the solution. So as you'll see, we had a live mixing truck. One of the things when Microsoft asked if we wanted the business, that they said, could you do it in 9 months? I said, of course, yes, not really knowing how to do that. But you find a way in these kind of markets. So then so part of working in these environments is obviously putting together a minimal viable product. It's about partnering, because if you're going to move fast, you don't have all the capabilities. We partnered, us and Microsoft. Microsoft, thankfully, decided their own internal learning management system wouldn't be up to this. We found a small startup that was in this space. We designed with them a very simple, clean platform, goes through very sequentially. Again, one of the things we brought to try and drive motivation was that this course was made for you as a Microsoft seller. There were 2 topics. One, I was teaching them strategy, so they could discuss strategy with the C-suite that they were selling to. But they also had to understand the basic language of business, which means finance. So one of my colleagues was tasked with teaching several thousand Microsoft sellers about basic financial accounting. Here's the beginning of his online lectures.
My name is Daniel Benz. I'm an accounting professor at INSEAD, the business school for the world. And today we are going to be going over our financial acumen model for the Microsoft sales professional. Now, you may be wondering, as a sales professional, how can financial acumen, financial analysis help me sell more? Because that's what my ultimate goal is to help you sell more and sell more effectively. And having a better understanding of financial acumen is really going to help you in 2 ways. First, when you're dialoguing with your client, when you're talking to them about problems that they face, and they express that to you in financial terms, such as, I need to enhance my ROI, and I'm facing these operational problems, but ultimately I need to enhance these financial measures, you're going to understand them better. You're going to help them solve the problem, but you're going to understand what that problem is if you speak that financial lingo, if that's the way they express the problem. The second way this is going to help you is before you even meet the client.
So again, as I said, the key thing when you're trying as a business, and in this case as an organization, to unlock the value of a new technology is figure out what the barriers are. And our whole focus was on how do we motivate people to learn. And so around those high quality videos, we built a ton of stuff. Everything from students could post questions, and then the faculty would record some just-in-time videos just for that class, through to everything was gamified. Everything you do on that platform earns you points. And if you get enough points, you will get a badge on your LinkedIn profile from, in this case, Microsoft and INSEAD. And so we really was like, what's the barrier to the value? How do we solve it? We were fortunate. I think, you go into a first project like this, you say, well, let's try, at least we'll learn something. In this case, frankly, we experimented it very smart. We also got lucky. These Microsoft sellers were desperate for the knowledge we had. A bunch of our experiments, like filming live, paid off. This is a slide from Microsoft. This is the first run, but the levels have only gone up or stayed the same. 85% completed, 95% liked it. Satisfaction was 99%. Talking to the head of training for this group, what he basically said is, I only have one training event that gets ratings like that, and that's when we get everyone together, lots of partying. You got Bomber standing on the decks, beating his chest. It's the big sales rally. They've never seen anything like this in a online or even a face-to-face training. We then went on, got another set of big courses with Accenture. This is also good, we managed to get a number of awards to sort of build that. But what I want to end with, just coming back to the overall theme today, is we've come away, we were kind of optimistic about what you could do online. Now we're getting really bullish. And I think in terms of the contribution that we can make, again, because what we're all about is contributing to you as business leaders, one of the things that happens in these worlds is you need to make your organizations change very fast. And one of the things oftentimes when we teach people about change, one of the challenges is, well, I'm explaining why they need to change, I'm giving them all these incentives, why aren't they changing? And one of the things we always remind leaders is, but have you taught them the skills that they need to actually operate in the new world? And what excites us about this is, given the level of changing, for the first time as a school, we have a set of solutions with the scale and the speed to help accompany some of our sort of our top corporate contacts in their transformational agenda. So thank you very much for listening to my personal story on that one.